Hello, welcome to It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, a new day, a new beginning, a new era, 2024 and beyond. And I am so thankful and grateful that God has given all of us an opportunity to join in on the new year and to move forward, always moving forward. And so sometimes it requires us to reset our mindset, our thoughts, and start thinking positive all the time. And no better way to start that than to be with great friends, great family, and just bring smiles of others' face as you bring smiles to yourself. So we're talking about new beginnings. But I cannot start a show without bringing on the executive producer and the co-host, Dr. Michelle Cooley. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. And you're right. New beginnings is so important. It doesn't matter if it's the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, end of the year. It's all about a fresh perspective and the blinders are off. And you want to do things a new way, a different way to gain positive results. So new beginnings is not just in the new year. It's when you start to say, you know what, I want to do or stop doing the things in life to make my life better and to make someone else's life better, of course.
I think it's the renewing of the mind, renewing of everything. And you're right. It's not just the beginning of a year. It's the beginning of a process. It's the beginning of seeing things differently. It's the beginning of becoming more of a servant than saying I, me, my. But you know what, Michelle, we got two absolutely fantastic uh, guests that's going to be on the show today that's going to help bring enlightenment to a new beginning. So, can you please introduce these two absolutely magnificent guests?
Yes. Well, of course, the show is titled New Beginnings, and we're going to have a conversation with management business consultant Tim Grant and entrepreneur and United States Marine Corps veteran Dr. Clement E. Johnson. We're going to discuss, talk about what is their definition of a new beginning, embracing change, personal growth, overcoming fears, long-term vision, and many more. So Tim Grant was born and raised in California, graduated from UCLA with a degree in economics, earned his MBA from Pepperdine University Presidential Key Executive Program, and a Juris Doctor from Western State College of Law. Spent the bulk of his career running businesses ranging from small private companies to publicly held corporations in distribution and manufacturing. Been featured on CNN, MSNBC, Forbes Financial News Network, and ESPN. Dr. Clement E. Johnson. Dr. Clement's company, ClemNet, works with business, federal, state, and local governments. ClemNet specializes in operational technology, networks, cybersecurity, and services. This is the infrastructure that secures our nation's IoT and energy grid. Clement is a thought leader in automated information systems and knowledge management. So please welcome to the show, Tim Grant and Dr. Clement E. Johnson, Jr.
Welcome to the show, fellas. How are you all doing today?
Outstanding, JC. Glad to be here. Glad to have me on the show, Miss Michelle.
Yes.
Yeah, both of you guys are in Southern California and enjoying. But guess what? Michelle and I will be back in Southern California this Saturday. And so looking forward to seeing both of you all. So let's start with you, Claire. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about you that may have not seen you on the show before? So can you give them a brief description of who is Dr. Clement Johnson?
Hi, everybody. Dr. Clement Johnson. I think everyone heard my bio. For those that are just coming on, I have a cybersecurity company down in Carlsbad, California. We focus on operational technology. That's what I do. But who I am is I'm a father of 6 children, 5 boys, 1 girl, and a grandfather of 19 grandchildren, and a great grandfather of 1 grandchild. I'm a retired Marine, and through my activism with veterans, through my activism in my local community, is how I share within the community itself. So through my philanthropism and my family, that sort of rounds off who I am.
Wow. Uh, Tim, can you tell our viewers and listeners that might have not seen you on the show before, who is Tim Grant?
Sure. As you pointed out, Clem and I live not too far from each other. We just discovered that. Married 30 years, 2 children. And my involvement, not unlike Clem's, is through the local community. Also very active in Southern Poverty Law Center and ACLU and Anti-Defamation League, as well as Boys and Girls Club and Feed America. So that's how I get involved in giving back and trying to make the things to the extent that I can, that I'm involved with, a little bit better and a little more successful.
Wow. So I started already because the title of the show is New Beginning. And Tim, you sent me or gave me information on Alfred Lord Tennyson. And I want to read a little bit about that poem because I read it a couple of times since
Great poem.
And there's no better way to understand what new beginnings might be until you read this poem. And it goes like this. Ring out wild bells to the wild sky, the flying clouds, the frosty light. The year is dying in the night. Ring out wild bells, let him die. Ring out the old, ring in the new. Ring happy bells across the snow. The year's going, let him go. Ring out the false, ring in the truth. Ring out the grief that slaps the mind. For those that hear, we see no more. Ring out the few are rich and poor. Ring in the redress to all mankind. Ring out a slowly dying cause, an ancient form of party strife. Ring in the noble modes of life with sweeter manners, pure laws. Ring out the want, the care, the sin, faithless coldness of the time. Ring out my mournful rhymes, but ring the fullest mystery in. Ring out false pride and place in blood, the silver slayer in spite. Ring in the love of truth and right. Ring in the common love of good. Ring out shapes of foul disease. Ring out narrowing lusts of gold. Ring out thousands wars of old. Ring in 1,000 years of peace. Ring in the valiant man and free, the larger heart, the kinder hands. Ring out the darkness of the land. Ring in the Christ to be.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's such a beautiful poem.
Yeah, it is.
And I believe that anybody that read that and understands that cannot help but have a change in heart, that all of the things that probably hindered us in our mindset and in the past, we have to bring in the new that's last forever. Tim, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I love that poem. And it was written, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was written back in the 1840s, right? So it shows you that through the history of, mankind, at every stage, and there are others, right, that that reflect what people were dealing with at the time. And unfortunately, we're still dealing with some of those things, right? And so we've got to figure out how to do a better job to, address some of the things that that Tennyson wrote about in the poem. When I think about new beginnings, the first thing, I think about the Bible and the story of new beginnings. I think about one of my favorites has a tie to Fallbrook, Frank Capra, the legendary director from 1946. It's a Wonderful Life, the story of a character by the name of George Bailey. Decides one day that he's so caught up in his own issues that he asks that he wished he'd never been born, and he's granted that wish, and he gets to go back and see, had he not been born, all the various things that all the ways that each of our lives touch so many other lives. I think about Charles Dickens' play Scrooge, right? Another great story of new beginnings. And as Michelle said at the top of the program, it doesn't have to be, to mark the beginning of a new year. It could be some event in your life, some realization, some maturity, some decision that you come to that says, yeah, I need to do things, or I want to do things, better. That great song, Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson. I think about that all the time. It starts with us. Anything does. And so, you first got to model the change you want to see elsewhere. Clem talked about his philanthropy. I briefly shared mine, and that's our collective effort to try to do just that.
Wow. That's it is a great poem. Hey, Clem, I'm going to get your point of view as soon as we get back from the break. So remember Alfred Lord Tennyson. And we're going to take a station break wherever you're watching us at. All you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Transfers TV, whatever that's at, and ask any question that you might in the comments. And I promise you, one of us will get you an answer. It's your life, and it's all about a new beginning. We'll talk to you shortly after the break.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Hey, I'm so drawn to you. I'm so drawn to you. Yeah.
I've seen a smile convey I love you. I'm proud of who you are, and one that keeps us close when we're apart. Talking from the darkness of all that we've been through, it seems that there might be a way to leave behind the loneliness we've known and live again life of need.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, it started out. We got two absolutely fantastic guests that's on to talk about new beginnings and talk about their point of view on this as well. And we just heard Tim talk about his point of view based on the poem written back in 1850 by Alfred Lord Tennyson called "Ring Out Row Bells." And basically, it's just talking about, all the things that has hindered you in the past or that might be holding you back right now. Sometimes we have to rethink that and let it go. Yeah, let it go. Because it's always going to be changed. It's inevitable. And sometimes we have to have a new beginning. And so, Tim, not Tim, but Clem, what are your thoughts on new beginning?
Well, first, I'd like to thank Tim for that fantastic poem. Kind of takes me back to my philosophy of in order to move forward, you have to know how to forget. And forgetting is my basis for new beginnings. When I look at a new beginning, I look at changing your life in order to move forward. And in order to change your life, in order to move forward, I focus on knowing where you're at right now and knowing what your accomplishments are. If you know what your accomplishments are and you know what you have accomplished, and those accomplishments have not been working, it's okay to change. And this is where, especially young people, get confused in new beginnings, and that's holding on to different areas or different portions in their life that they made commitment to, and holding on to them for too long. New beginnings means coming up with a plan. In my plans in my life, I usually go for the 1 year plan like everyone does in the new year. But my big plan is a 5 year plan. And the 5 year plan focuses on the new beginning of the 1 year plan. So if by year two, you haven't achieved much towards your 5 year goal, don't work harder to try to achieve your 5 year goal. Change your 5 year goal. New beginnings are about having goals and having accomplishments that are accomplishable. And within that framework, those new beginnings will always propel you toward being able to accomplish bigger and better things in your life. That's one thing about new beginnings that really strikes me.
Mhm.
When I was listening to Alfred Lloyd Tennyson, I was kind of equating that to age groups and the pressure on age groups on making decisions, or even in a new year, making new year resolutions.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, for someone that is 19 to have a new commitment, it is something totally different from someone that is 63, like myself. For someone that is 19, it's okay to have a decision, or it's okay to be kind of foggy in what your decision might be for the new year. My suggestion is just pick one. And if it doesn't work, then pick another one and just keep moving forward. For someone that's older with more experience, that may not be the case. So my idea about new beginnings is staying focused on your age group and knowing what you're capable of in your life, and be realistic in the new beginnings that you choose.
Mhm.
I agree with you. And but I think you're right when you must have a plan in anything that you do, a plan. And I normally use the 1 year 3 year, 5 year. But somewhere in leading up to the 5 years, it's going to be changes that occur, technology or whatever that might be. So we have to refocus on all of those things. And you're right, as it relate to age groups, you cannot have the same, and it doesn't happen this way. 20-year-old as a 63-year-old stuff. You have to you have to kind of stay in your lane and also gain experience.
Mhm.
You have to keep vision, understanding, and focus on how you're going to pave your way to whatever successes that are going to come your way. And by doing that, you have to have a renewing of the mind quite often. Tim, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with both you guys. I was listening to Dr. Clem and I totally agree. And in fact, Clem, I'm dealing with that same issue right now, right? Because I've got a 20-year-old son in college, an almost 18-year-old daughter who'll be graduating from high school. And I'm trying to talk to them about, planning and having finding a purpose and a direction. And man, I tell you, I'm feeling really fish out of water, right? Because, the things that the opportunities that presented themselves to me, and I'm just a year, I'm 64,
Mhm.
trying to look through my lens on opportunities and how I played the game and made a plan, is so very different from, the amount of information that my kids have at their disposal. And really, as a result of that, good or bad, how quickly they've grown up faster than I have, right? Or did. And looking at opportunities that are emerging now in AI and other things that are going to present tremendous opportunities and challenges, right? As you probably know way better than I do, Clem, in terms of, AI, in terms of job displacement, opportunities for the early enablers, legal issues relating to trademark, copyright, patent, intellectual property protection, and on it goes. But they're facing so many more and different challenges and opportunities in the economy they're going to be entering and preparing themselves for. And the other thing that comes to mind is Michelle said, it doesn't have to be, the beginning of a new year. I mean, JC, this story, but I was forced to reinvent myself in September of 2015 after being diagnosed with a recurring metastatic melanoma that was now stage 4. Right. And I'm still reinventing myself after that, and the impact that the treatment and the disease had in what I did in my active career life then and what I'm able to do now. Right. And having to reinvent, to a new beginning with the realities of, post the pity party. Right. How did I get here? Why am I here? Post all of that to say, OK, all right, this is my new reality. What am I going to do?
Wow. So question for both of you guys. For the people that are watching right now, and they trying to figure out how do they go about reinventing themselves, setting goals, realistic goals, and how to achieve the goals that they set. But Clem, what would you tell a young person or an old person that might be going through that right now?
My advice would be to first understand there is no wrong answers in life.
Mhm.
Knowing yourself is something that's easy to say, but it's something that most people don't know themselves from a realistic standpoint. My advice to any person would be to find a mentor, find a role model that you can model yourself behind, that sort of has some of the same, or sort of has completed some of the goals, sort of has completed some of the milestones in life that you're looking at completing. Find you an older person, find you a younger person with close to your age group. And then as you're determining what your goals are, have those conversations with them, and they will help. They'll be the best people to guide you through. And what they'll be guiding you through is helping you to alleviate the mistakes that they made along the way.
What about you, Tim? What are your thoughts?
I totally agree with that. That's great advice. Getting a mentor is key. We talked previously, James, on another show that you and I were on about informational interviewing, right? And if you think you're interested in a career or a particular trade or what have you, go talk to somebody in your network, in your parents' network, your grandparents, a friend, a neighbor, that's in that same industry or trade, and ask them, what do you like about your job? How did you prepare to have this job? What skills are important, that sort of thing. I think that's key. And just to add to what Dr. Clem said, in addition to a mentor, the thing that I find when I talk to younger people is this isn't about competing with somebody else. This is about your plan to be the best you that you can or want to be, right? It's not about competing with a brother, an older brother, somebody else, a friend, somebody else. This isn't that. And you can save yourself a lot of grief by not trying to compete with somebody else, but having that talk with yourself about, the challenge is how can you be the best you? This is your goal, your plan. It's not, it's the only competition is with, your need to, don't tell me what you can't, don't tell me what you can't do, James, as you've said before, right? Tell me what you don't want to do, right? And once you figured out, that and you're honest with yourself, then this is about you.
Wow. And it is. Tim, back to you. Change in most people's lives, whether it's good or bad, most people rather stick with the bad.
Sure.
Than change. What would you recommend? We got like 2.5 minutes before the break. What would you recommend a person that deadlock in their ways, even though they know it's not working, but they are totally resistant to change? I mean, they're not going to change their goals. They're not going to change their mindset. They're not going to change anything. It's basically they are willing to fall on the sword. What would you tell a person stubborn like that?
Is that for me or Dr. Clem?
That's for you.
Okay. Well, I'd say, I go back to that. I love examples that are already established for us. But it's that old story, the man in the arena, right? I think it was Teddy Roosevelt, right? Hey, you know what? Life will give you consequences and give you feedback. Don't ever worry about that. And so if you don't want to change, look, a lot of people don't like change. They'd rather be the architect of change versus, it's the effecting change versus being affected by change, right? And so it's a lot easier if you're the architect of change, but if you happen to be in a company and your job, is being redefined, or your position is being eliminated, or, if you're in service and, you don't make that next rate or rank, then life hands you those things that you need to deal with. So I think it's a lot easier if you go in embracing the fact that we all ought to really need to continue to be evolving. I don't look at it as change as much as I look at evolving. And we do that by, greater experiences, added education, knowledge, people that come into our circles, that we can learn from. So I think if you approach it with that, it makes it a little less painful. But for those that just don't want to change, life will give you feedback. Don't worry.
With that, we're going to take a station break. But Clem, you're not off the hook. I need your thoughts on when we get back. And I tell you what, not just like Joshua Goldsmith, my main man, Josh. Hey, guys, I love the topics. Happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year to you all. Hey, Josh, we love you, man. I'll be seeing you real soon. Josh Goldforth is my financial advisor. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic guy. If you don't have one, you might want to reach out to Goldsmith Financial Services. He will hook you up. So I tell you, we're going to have to take a station break. We're going to come back. We're going to pick it up. We got a whole lot more of this coming your way. And if you want to be part of the conversation with your platform, You're watching this on over 55 live different platforms right now. All you do is go to the comment section, ask any question that you might have. Remember, it is your life, and we'll be back shortly after the break.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
Always dream big. Dream big with your heart, mind, soul. Dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. But continue to understand that you can do anything that you set your mind to. You can do anything that you set your mind to, but just continue to do it. So dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. I want to thank Unified Brainzy for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this great book. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I got these absolutely amazing guests that bring it. And you know what? I call this a dissertation of life because you're talking to three men that has over 180 years experience in life. and a lot of times we all fall down. I have fell down many, many times. I'm sure Tim has fell down many, many times. Clem has fell down many, many times. You know what the main factor and that what makes us success in what we do? We had a willpower, the understanding, and the knowledge. Just jump back up.
Mhm.
Get back on your feet. Move forward. Continue to move forward. Don't move backwards. Someone told me once, you got to have the mindset of a frog. And you got to say, what's wrong with JC? You got to have the mindset of a frog. You got to always focus on moving forward. Move forward. Guess what? A frog is incapable of moving backwards. In case you did not know that, a frog can only move forward, regardless what happened. He can't say, "I'm gonna take one hop back." It's not set up that way. If he wanted to go backwards, he would have to move forward, hop around sideways, turn around, then start. So I don't know about you, but I want to have the mindset of that frog moving forward. Forget about everything that happened in the past that's hindering us and that might be holding us back. All the luggage that we're carrying. We start carrying a whole lot of luggage. You kind of get heavy, and the back start getting weak, and you start moving slow. With that being said, Clem, what are your thoughts on that? I'm not talking about the frog not being.
I was getting ready to say, JC, because I had a vehicle named the Frog, and that sucker would not even move forward. But one thing about life, and being a participant in life, going back to the question that you had asked Tim, you need to be a participant in life, and to be able to get out of your comfort zone. Imagine Tim's poet, Alfred Lloyd Tennyson. Imagine hearing that poem and hearing the words, but never have been a participant in the beautiful country of England, to have never been there. A person that's never been there will hear the story and will hear things, but a person that's been to London will understand that story on a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a person that takes chances and is scared of heights, but goes to Dubai and goes to Al Khalifa and goes up to the top story and looks out. Scared, never would have wanted to do that. However, one day they're walking down the street and they're with a group of friends, and one of the friends looks up and says, "Wow, that's a tall building." That person that's been on Al Khalifa will be able to frame that in all the tall buildings in the world. Step out of your comfort zone, and even though it's uncomfortable, it'll make you a participant in other people's stories, and it'll make you a better participant in life.
Well put, Clem. Well put. Tim, you know I got to get your perspective on that. Come on, bring it on.
No, well, first of all, I only learned about frogging from reading your book, so I've never been frogging. So I'm gonna take that as bit of knowledge that I don't need to replicate because you gave it to me. The other thing is, you talked about making mistakes, and we've all fallen down. I mean, it's a little humbling. I look at some of the mistakes I made as a newly minted manager, right, where I was long on education and very short on experience, and I mean, some of them are truly embarrassing, right? And so I try, in life not to make the same mistake twice, which is good counsel, but learn from your mistakes. I agree with Clem about, challenging yourself, getting out of your comfort zone. We've talked about that before. Your book addresses, a number of those things. I guess that's my, that's my take on that.
Wow. So I'm going to change the topic a little bit.
But James, if I can add though, I'm surprised Clem missed one, and that is, if you're a younger person and you're not real sure what you want to do, I got a couple of retired master gunnery sergeants in my neighborhood that are my neighbors, and they were recruiters. And let me tell you something: if you don't have a plan, those people at your local recruiting office, they have a plan for you. If you're a little short on plans,
Not just that, but I and some of my speaking engagements, right? If you don't have a plan and you don't know where you're going, Any road is going to get you there.
That's right.
Let me say that one more time. If you don't have a plan and you don't know where you're going, any road gonna get you to where you're going. I mean, it might not take you to the direct right place, but you're going down that road. That's why you have to have vision, understanding, and focus on how to get there. Plus, vision, you have to be able to see past the tip of your nose. You have to be able to see past tall buildings and cement walls. You have to be able to see past all of these things. And the way that I put it like this, you're able to see through these things is through the mind.
Mhm.
If you want to, say, build a building, I believe, first of all, in your mind, you have to understand how big the building need to be. And one of the things I say is foundation. Foundation. You want to build that foundation as big as possible, as large as possible. Even though if you're thinking about building a small, tiny building on that, try to build a foundation where it could potentially support a mall or this or a city, if you're capable of doing that. So that's vision, is being able to dream big, dream big, dream big. In order to be able to dream big, you have to be able to think big about whatever that might mean, or whatever that is. So vision also creates this is what I want. Understanding is, okay, this is what I want to do. So I had to have a plan. I had to do this. I had to have time frame. And Clem brought up a 1, 3, and 5 year plan, or whatever that is. So all that's great. But you have to be able to have a plan. But most important, that means understanding of, I want this. This is what right now I want this to be the Eiffel Tower or whatever. But I always call it, and Tim, I don't know if you can have champagne taste, but beer money.
Yeah.
Beer money. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Take that beer money, build that little building, but have a plan. But you have to focus one step at a time. Foundation. 6, 7, 8 months, 10 months, 2 years, 10 years. Then start building the building. You have to have bricks, wood, etc. All that goes into a plan. Focus is being able to build this one step at a time. Focus on one part of the building block at a time. And we call that in life, as we grow, we build this building, then all of a sudden, we start growing, we get promoted, we get this, we get that, we get other people come, and whatever that is. And next thing you know, that little building that you started out with is like, wow, I need to add on to this. By having the fortitude and understanding that I built a big foundation, that I can add other things onto this because the foundation can support it. And the foundation is knowledge, understanding, and focus. Education. Surround yourself with people that trust and believe you. And that's not running around the Duke of Doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make it by surrounding yourself with people that's going to bring you down.
Right.
Oh, yesterday, today. And Tim, I want you to follow up on that. What's your thoughts? We got about 2 minutes before the break.
Well, a couple things. One, I was in that position because when my cancer left me paralyzed from the waist down, right, I was in rehab, and I was in rehab with a number of people that, like myself, had a disease state that brought that on. But I was also, in rehab with a number of people that were combat wounded, right? And let me tell you, it's a whole different experience, right? And and so I never complained and never gave up on how hard or painful it was, because there were people that I was working with that were recovering from much greater trauma, than I was. They may have lost a limb or what have you. And wouldn't it be nice, James or JC? I was thinking about your comments too. Wouldn't it be nice if, as we go forward, we get out of a world where we have to precede someone's, news of their accomplishment as the first person to, right? For example, the first person of color to be president, the first Asian American, woman of color happened to be vice president, the first paraplegic or quadriplegic, or the first blind person to do this, or, the first woman to run this major, corporation, the first woman Navy CNO, right? Wouldn't it be nice if we can get to a place where it doesn't proceed in the introduction with the first, right? Because that would have been, already established, and that precedent would already be there for others to, to take inspiration from and follow along. But I totally understand what you're saying, and I experienced that firsthand in my rehab recovery, which is still going on, right? I mean, I'm still learning to.
You just brought something. We got to take a station break. But what you just brought up is an ace attitude. An ace. Once we get our mind set on that, we just don't discriminate the first this or that or that. Right. When we just say, hey, this person is great. Right. This person. And so I love that comment. Clem, you're going to pick it up right after the break. But we're going to talk about ACE, stands for attitude, commitment, and enthusiasm. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and finish this up. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cool. We'll be back shortly after the break.
ACE stands for attitude, commitment, and enthusiasm. Let's talk about the A, attitude. A lot of times we are confronted with things or in situations, and we often react because we're not, for one thing, walking around with the right attitude where we get an opportunity to think. Attitude will make or break you. Most of the time, the first thing, depending on where you're at with your attitude, you want to react. You want to hit. You want to say something. You want to do the first thing that come to your mind. We all have this split second where we can think about it. Somebody bump into you or said something, we can think about it. I need to dream big, think big, and be big. Be big is not in statue. It's in heart and it's in mind. You don't always have to react when you're confronted with a negative situation. Let me talk about the C in ACE. The C stands for commitment. What does the C stand for? What does the C stand for? In order to be committed to anything, you must be committed to yourself. And what I mean by committed to yourself, you must be committed to you telling the truth, you being honest with yourself, regardless what it is. Enthusiasm, just like I mentioned to you, is being excited. Just being excited just because you was able to wake up this morning. I mean, I'm excited. I woke up, the good Lord gave me another day. I'm happy. That's what I'm happy about it, and I'm gonna walk around. I cannot be walking around mad at the world or pissed off about something. Or mommy wouldn't let me do that. Daddy say they did all these things. I'm just so. Come on, put that energy toward a positive thing. Just like Michelle Obama said, when they swing low, you what? Attitude, commitment, and enthusiasm. Thank you so much.
Attitude, commitment, enthusiasm. I live by those words. When I gave that speech, I did not know what I was going to do that day, Clem. I was asked to come in and speak, do these things, and walked out there like, okay, I don't have a clue. But guess what? God planted in my heart. And when I got the mic, he said, we're going to talk about attitude, commitment, and enthusiasm. In order to succeed in life, I believe you have to be an ace. And an ace comes in all different type of forms. Pilots, an ace mean how many planes you knock down from the sky, or this ace pitcher, all that. Yeah. But ACE stands for attitude, commitment, enthusiasm. Clem, we got about 4 minutes in the show. I'm gonna turn this over to you. What thoughts on that?
Well, I was thinking about this ACE, and I'm looking at attitude, and I'm thinking about the guy walking down the street with the big knot upside his head. That's the nicest guy that you ever want to see. He had an attitude adjustment. When
Clem, I wasn't expecting. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, audience.
When I'm looking at somebody and they're telling me I can't, my rent, and I'm behind in my rent, or my mortgage is I can't afford it. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's a person that lacks commitment. And when I see a person that's always smiling, when I see a person that always has something good to say, when I see a person that when they call me, I want to pick up the phone, that's because that person has plenty of enthusiasm that can hold my attention. The ACE and how to identify it is important. And that sounds funny, but especially when it comes to your attitude. If you don't have a good attitude, eventually
man, you got me with the guy with the knot on his head. Hey, Tim, you got 1 minute. I got to hear your response on that.
No, I love that. And that's what I said earlier, right? There's a lot of people that'll give you that nod. It could be a grandmother. It could be, I get it, right? But it also could just be life. Your boss could give you that. Life will give you that feedback, So again, it goes back to that comment. However you came by that knot upside your head, study on it and do something different. That's a signal, right? So, that's, I love that example.
You know what? I tell you, us three got to do this again. This has been so much fun. It's the most laughs I had all week so far. And Clem, you said that. And hey, Pastor Pierce, Dr. Pierce, hey man, I know you back there laughing. That not sometimes that would change your attitude. Clem, you're crazy.
I still want you to take me frogging, JC. I got to experience this, man.
We're gonna have to do that. But it's love you, brothers. It's my great friend,
hey, Pastor Pierce,
Pastor Pearl Pierce, and I know he's still back in the background, still laughing. Hey,
Clem, I want you to know that Pastor Pierce gave me my name. I'm T. I'm T.
Oh, nice.
I've already gotten a name from Pastor Pierce.
That's what I'm talking about.
There it is, right there.
Hey, Pastor Pierce knows what a Fallbrook Gate is too.
Oh yes, he does. Hey, we're out of time. Hey, I want to thank these two absolutely magnificent gentlemen for being on the show. Pastor Pierce, next time us three get together, I'm bringing you back on if you have time in your schedule. I tell you, um, this would not have been possible unless the fantastic, fabulous, wonderful Dr. Michelle Cooley putting together a show at the last minute and reaching out, calling these two absolutely fantastic guys to be here. So I want to thank you guys. I want to thank her. Most importantly, I want to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning in to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Motto is always, first of all, attitude had to be right.
Yep.
Always dream big, think big, and be big. And remember that you are an ace. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your life. We'll see you then.